Hello everyone, Adrian here. So today I am going to be doing a review of the not really newly released anymore so much, but recent release of the Black Metals palette by Black Moon Cosmetics. Let me apologize in advance for any coughing or sniffling or rough voice you might hear during this video, because I just spent the weekend in Yakima and my allergies are just trying to kill me. I hate my allergies so bad. So as I promised on a lot of my social media on like Instagram and Twitter and everything like that, I did promise that this was going to be a completely honest review. And I am being completely honest when I do say that Black Moon Cosmetics is one of my favorite makeup brands ever. It's pretty awesome, and like I said, I love that they include a lot of different skin tones into consideration when they are creating something, which, again, I love. But I also love the incredibly high quality of the formula of their lipsticks as well as their eyeshadows. Love it. Seriously, like, with the look that I'm wearing today, I almost forgot that I had to put like a matte kind of ivory shade up here, like below my eyebrow, to blend that out, because it just blends out so well. So everything I've ever gotten by Black Moon Cosmetics, I've been incredibly impressed with, and you definitely get your money's worth. I really, really, really like that. So let's go through the shades of the Black Metal palette, shall we? So this is the packaging here. First of all, can we talk about how absolutely beautiful this is? It has this kind of gothic lettering. It's really kind of flowy. It has a little bit of a kind of Art Nouveau kind of touch. So I really like the aesthetic that they went for. And of course they did go with their signature kind of holographic sort of finish on it. It's so pretty. And I like that they opted for a shiny exterior here as far as that's concerned. It just looks really sharp, but unfortunately you do get your nasty fingerprints all over it. It's okay. So the exterior packaging was absolutely incredible. I absolutely love the packaging. I love the kind of nod to Gothic architecture that they put in there, plus the silver holographic kind of finish on it just makes it so stunning. Oh man, I love Black Moon Cosmetics. So I really like the exterior packaging. In fact, I am keeping it because it's just so gorgeous. I can't just let it go. It's so pretty. And so let's go into the shades. So here are the shades for the Black Metals palette. As you guys can see, I used Castle quite a lot in this eyeshadow look that I did today. Yeah, I needed a lot, but it was totally worth it. So I'm going to go through the colors one by one. So the first color, which I was kind of a little bit skeptical about, was this one, and it's called Abracadabra. And I know on camera it's going to look like a pastel kind of pink, and it kind of looks that way when you're looking straight on at it. However, when you put it on, it's a really nice kind of purple, blue kind of shimmering highlight. And I'll be honest, I'm not one to actually wear highlight shades, but this is really pretty, and it's subtle, and it doesn't have that kind of fake, kind of fairy shit finish, if that makes any sense. Because honestly, I hate it when people pile on highlighter. It just looks so tacky. And when they put too much on here, especially on the cheekbones, it looks like a fairy took a shit on their cheeks. It's awful. But this is subtle enough to where it doesn't have that tacky kind of look, and I appreciate that. So this may actually win me over as far as highlighters are concerned, and that's saying a lot. Yeah. So the next shade that we're going to be discussing today is this shade Emperor. And when the lipstick counterpart to this particular shade came out, I was incredibly excited because I've always been wanting to experiment a little more with gold shades. But the thing is, sometimes like things with a warmer tone, and things that are gold or yellow or orange don't really look that good on me because I have olive undertones. But again, you have that case where Black Moon Cosmetics takes all skin tones into account, and that really means a lot to me. So with this Emperor shade, it's an olive gold, which I have never seen before, especially in makeup, and it is positively stunning. And I really love the finish on it. I really love how highly pigmented it is. Between this one and Castle, I would have to say that these are the most pigmented of the shades in this palette, but again, I'll get into that. So the next shade is Eternal. And this one I was a little bit skeptical about because, again, orange shades and gold shades and warm tones don't really look that good on me because of my olive undertones. It just looks awkward. I'm sorry. It just looks really awkward. That's kind of the reason why I don't have the lipstick counterpart to this particular shade, but that's totally fine. It's not a shade, as far as lipstick is concerned, that I would get a lot of wear out of. So even this one, when you look at the lipstick counterpart, it looks like kind of a darker kind of rose gold, which again is something I wouldn't typically go for. But when you swatch the shadow here, it looks more like a shimmering orange. However, because of the different kind of rose gold undertones under that kind of copper finish that it has, it's a lot more flattering than I would have expected, but I don't think I'm going to get the lipstick version of this. But still, it's a really pretty shade, and I can see myself using this for a lot of kind of autumn-inspired makeup looks that I plan on doing soon. So this one was a surprise. I was pleasantly surprised by this. So the next shade that I was particularly excited about was Myth, and this is a beautiful emerald green, and it has like a very slight like lime green kind of reflect to it. Actually, maybe even a little bit of gold, really. I was incredibly excited about this because it's one of my favorite shades in the Black Metals collection for the lipsticks, and I commonly wear that shade for my Absinthe reviews. Speaking of which, you may have noticed my Absinthe equipment behind me. Yes, I will be doing Absinthe videos again very soon, so I hope you're ready for that. But yes, this shade was incredibly beautiful and pigmented and just overall lovely. It was just so rich, and I was really impressed by it. So the thing that I can think of that is similar to this that I've had was the Kat Von D Serpentina palette, and I think the shade was called Scarab. Now, I did like that shade, it's just that it had a little bit too much blue in the shade composition to kind of pass as the kind of green that I wanted, so that really sucked. But another one that I've found that is similar is a shade called Peacock, and it's by an independent Etsy brand that I really, really, really love. And that one is definitely a true kind of emerald green, and it has a very slight blue undertone, but it's not overpowering. And this one is different in the fact that it kind of has a hint of gold, so I really like it. So the next one is Immortal. And I will be perfectly honest, I was not too terribly impressed with this shade. Yeah, it looks absolutely gorgeous in the pan. However, when you swatch it, it needs a lot of layering up in order for the purple to actually show. If you don't layer it up all that much, then it's going to look like a plummy brown kind of color. It's so weird, but that's one thing I was kind of worried about when I was thinking about getting this palette, was that it was going to have a similar problem to the lipstick counterpart, and it kind of does. It's really pretty in the pan, like I said, it's just that it takes a bit of layering up in order to achieve that kind of brilliant purple sheen with the Arctic blue kind of finish on it. So that was a little bit disappointing, but it's still really pretty once you put the effort into layering it up. I'm actually thinking next time I wear it, I might put some setting spray on my makeup brush to see if that intensifies the color. But that's just me. So the next shade is Sorrow, and this is, oh my god, this is the most beautiful metallic blue shade I have ever seen in my life. And the reason for that is because a lot of the other palettes out there that have a metallic blue, they lean more toward electric blue than sapphire blue. This is a true sapphire blue, and being born in September, I like sapphire. They're really, really pretty. And what I really love is that because the color is so rich, it even looks good on my awkward ass skin tone. One thing I was kind of worried about when I was trying on Sorrow is that it wouldn't look good with my brown eyes, because let's be real, blue eyeshadow looks really good on people with blue eyes. But because it was so rich and deep and it wasn't electric blue, it ended up turning out really, really good. So I really appreciate that. Alright, so the next one is going to be Armageddon, and this pleasantly surprised me. I was looking forward to see how this shade would differ from the lipstick, and I'm actually wearing the lipstick today, and I did wear a little bit of this in my eyeshadow look that I'm wearing today. When I was first trying out the lipstick version of this, I realized that it had a weird kind of purple undertone to it, and it wasn't terribly flattering at first, but then I did get used to it. The eyeshadow counterpart really backed off on the purple and the cool undertones, and gives it more of a neutral red with copper reflex. It's really, really, really pretty. And this is exactly what I was hoping for when this palette was first announced. And as you guys know, I am planning my French recital, and I'm planning on doing a kind of metallic red theme. And I'm really excited for it. So this is exactly what I was hoping for eyeshadow to wear at that very same kind of recital. And the final shade, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, was Castle. This is the shade that I'm wearing right here, like all over the lid, like under the crease area. It is positively gorgeous. And it maintains that fine balance of being very pigmented, but also very easily buildable, if that makes any sense. So if you wanted like a more subtle kind of silver kind of shimmer to your eyeshadow, you can do that, and it spreads very evenly and smoothly across your eyelid. Or you can build it up to a really dark shade, kind of like what I did here. So this was really impressive. I'm really, really, really glad that that shade turned out really, really, really well. So I'm very happy with that. So the pros and cons of this eyeshadow palette. I really love how pigmented most of the shades are. And on top of being pigmented, they are extremely creamy and buttery, and the fallout is very minimal. I was shocked when I saw how little fallout came off of the brush when I was, trying these on and testing them out. I was impressed, because typically in other metallic eyeshadows that I have worn and other foil kind of eyeshadows that I've worn, oh my god. It just annoys me so much that the glitter just ends up all over my cheeks, and I'm just like, oh my god, give me a break. So I'm really glad that the formula is really pigmented and buttery and smooth, and like I said with the shade Castle, buildable. So when you have that nice balance between super pigmented and buildable and very easy to blend, you know that you have something that is really easy to work with. Another pro about this palette is just the colors. These colors are just so unique. The best way that I can describe how beautiful and rich this palette is, it's what the Kat Von D Serpentina palette wishes it could have been. Because one of the shades in the Serpentina palette by Kat Von D was called Queen, and it was a kind of plummy shade similar to Immortal, but even though I did have my own problems with the shade Immortal in this particular palette, it still was better than the Queen shade in the Serpentina palette by Kat Von D. Yeah, that palette was just disappointing in comparison to this. Another thing as well is that these are incredibly long-lasting. I don't know about you guys, but I really love it when an eyeshadow puts up a good fight. Some of it's due to like not having a good primer to go with it and have it sticking on your face. because I know some people have encountered that problem before, but I was able to swatch these even without primer and they still put up a good fight. So it's very long lasting, it's very smooth, it doesn't crease, it's wonderful. Those of you who are fans of the Orb of Light palette, which Black Moon Cosmetics released last year, will find that these palettes are actually very compatible with each other. It's really great. So one of my favorite shades from the Orb of Light palette that I really, really love is this shade. I think it's called Cold. Yes, it's called Cold. And this is a really beautiful kind of like transitional grayish kind of color. And this blends out so well, and this works with, honestly, it could work with any of the shades that I have here in the Black Metals palette. So these two palettes work very, very well together. Now, even if you don't have this particular Orb of Light palette to kind of fill in things you would need with the Black Metals palette, you can still use most any kind of neutral palette that is out there. Like one of my favorite ones is Saucebox Cosmetics Etude palette. That's my favorite neutrals palette, other than, you know, the Black Moon Cosmetics one here. So honestly, any kind of good neutrals palette like that would really complement this. One thing I like that they did here, as they did with the Orb of Light palette last year, they included a free eyeshadow brush. These brushes are wonderful. I really wish that they would expand their brush collection. I really need a good smudge brush. That's just me. But as they did last year, they did do the same thing this year with releasing a new eyeshadow brush to go with the palette. So it's pretty awesome. And this is a nice kind of flat brush that is really good for picking up pigment and packing on pigment. This worked well. So as far as the cons are concerned for the Black Metals palette, there are only two that I could think of. One of the concerns I expressed with Immortal is that it really wasn't very pigmented, which, you know, compared to the other shades and how beautiful and pigmented the other shades were, I was a little disappointed. So if you do not build it up enough, it will look like a plummy kind of brown color, and it's not very attractive. But that being said, I will do a little bit of experimenting to see if I can get it to be a little more pigmented so I don't have to pick up quite as much product. So yeah. So part of the problem that the shade Immortal has, as does its lipstick predecessor has, is just that it really isn't as vibrant of a purple as it looks online, and that's kind of disappointing. So I don't know if I just got a bad batch or if that's just the way the color is once it gets to that black metallic base, but it's just not as pigmented and rich as the other colors that I have in my Black Metals collection as far as that's concerned. So when you look at it at first, it kind of looks like a plummy brown, and again, it's not very flattering, so that sucks. And then the other con for this is that it's a little tough to open. And being someone who is finally growing out her nails, it can be a little difficult to try and get this baby open without, you know, carefully, without, you know, scratching the Immortal eyeshadow that's sitting right there. And I think it's a problem with this specific palette for some reason. Maybe it's just mine. I'm not sure if other people have had that issue. But the Orb of Light palette here is super easy to open, but the Black Metals not so much. But overall, as far as this entire palette is concerned, the pros definitely outweigh the cons, and I definitely think you get your money's worth out of this palette, because I have seen palettes that are far more expensive than this one that basically perform the same way. And I'm talking stuff like Jeffree Star or Anastasia Beverly Hills and whatnot. So whenever I see anything metallic from other brands that are vastly more expensive than this, I'm definitely impressed. And the fact that it also comes with a free makeup brush, that's really cool too. So you definitely get your money's worth out of buying this palette. Although if you are kind of on a tight budget, I totally understand. If you want to, you can wait for their next sale event. I'm not sure when this particular palette will go on sale. Probably not for several months, but that's okay. So guys, thank you so much for watching this very honest review of the Black Metals palette by Black Moon Cosmetics. It's definitely 90% worth the hype. I'm just taking away that 10% for the lack of pigmentation in Immortal. So I'm hoping that if they do happen to reformulate the Immortal lipstick, as well as the shade Immortal in the palette, like if they do like a subsequent release with a reformulation or something like that, that would be really cool. But definitely I want to see the formula of Immortal kind of updated so it doesn't look quite so dull in comparison to the other black metal shades I have. I still like it, and I have a couple of tricks where I try to bring out more of the purple in there. Like for example, I have the shade Purgatory, and that's just a deep blackened purple with a blue undertone. When I put Immortal on top of that, it brings out more of the purple, but still, by itself, it just looks very dull. I'm sorry. I know it's different than what I typically do with my Absinthe reviews and my reviews on Gothic literature and talking about music and everything like that, but I wanted to shake it up a little bit. I wanted to give my honest opinion on the Black Metals palette because I really do enjoy makeup and I really do enjoy Black Moon Cosmetics as a whole, but I wanted to deliver an honest review for you guys because I know that there are certain YouTubers out there who will give an extremely falsely positive review of something so they don't get kicked off the PR lists. I paid for this with my own money. I'm not going to do that. And as I discussed before, as you can see from my Absinthe stuff in the background, I will be doing Absinthe reviews again very soon. I have a very kind friend who is part of the Absinthe community who sent me some samples of some Absinthe for me to try, and I really, really, really appreciate it. So I will be reviewing those soon. And then I also got one that it's been highly requested for a little bit because a couple of people have asked me about it. They're just like, hey, what do you think of Strong 68? And I'm just like, I have a little sample size of it. I just haven't tried it yet. I'm sorry. So you guys can look forward to that. So guys, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later. Bye!